Hello there. Okay, I'm going to start reading. Only 6 pages today, so folks can catch up on the replay if they missed the first couple lines. But here we go. Now I See by Vanessa Clark, chapter number 7, Darkness, it's called. Our world had been rocked. Everything had changed. I held my son and I felt terrible. Terrible for all the times I had put him down thinking that he was just a more needy baby. Of course, he had been needy. He wanted me when he was placed down. He had no idea where I was or where he was. According to the doctor, Aubrey didn't even have light perception. He was essentially living in complete darkness. And into the darkness is where my husband and I both went as well. Clay oscillated between uncontrolled outbursts of tears mid workday and outbursts against God. Clay was very angry at God. He reasoned that a God who could allow this to happen could in no way be considered good. What had Aubrey ever done? He was just a baby. He reasoned that either God was not good as he allowed something like this to happen, or not powerful as he didn't stop it. Either way, Clay wanted no part of him. Again, like at the wedding, I wanted to retreat into aloneness. But there were questions that had to be answered. Our family knew we had this appointment, and as much as I wished I didn't have to tell anyone about anything, they asked questions. So, what did you find out? What did the doctor say? Immediately, I had to answer the question as I arrived to pick up our daughter, Havana, from my mother in law after the exam. I did my best to be as nonchalant as possible. They say he is just having trouble seeing. That was it. That was my reply to anybody who asked. I didn't consciously decide to answer this way. I just never would say that he was blind. I never said it, and I didn't offer any further explanation at that time. And I am sure word got around quickly, though, from anyone who inquired for my husband. He told them exactly what the ophthalmologist had said. I got a lot of other questions too from my mom. Maybe others felt the same way and never said anything. I'm not sure, but for whatever reason, my mom felt empowered to ask questions that oftentimes felt like accusations. What did I eat during my pregnancy? Did I always remember to take my prenatal vitamins? Statements that things like this happen if you don't eat the proper diet while pregnant. It was implied that I was the cause of my son's condition. It was very hurtful, and I believe it was an unfair burden for anyone to be carrying at such a trying time, trying to defend myself and my innocence in our family's current circumstance when I was just trying to make it through each day. Maybe since she hadn't seen my tears, as I never cried in front of anyone, other than the doctor that initial day, she believed I was strong enough to handle her truth. But it was destructive. Don't you think that I, more than anyone, wanted my baby to be healthy? To somehow imply that I had been the cause of my son's problem was gut wrenching. Thankfully, I was continually reassured by doctors that this was not even possible with the condition we were dealing with. We had a referral to the Dean McGee Eye Institute by our specialist. He wanted Aubrey to have an exam on a machine that he did not have at his practice that would help clarify what was going on with the rods and cones in our eyes. I did not fully understand how this machine would help us at the time, but we went because we were told to, and really we would have done almost anything they told us to out of our desire to help Aubrey. After traveling to Oklahoma City and enduring almost a full day of waiting due to our paperwork being misplaced, we saw a very nice doctor who conducted an eye exam and then politely informed us, yes, everything you've been told by your specialist is true. He informed us that Aubrey could not see and there was nothing that we could do about his vision. They were not able to use the machine we had made the visit for because it was out for repair. After talking with the specialist, I didn't really understand why we wanted to have this test done anyway. It didn't make sense because I asked how the information from the results of the test would help Aubrey's vision, still believing that there had to be something that we could do. And they informed us that the results would simply clarify the cause of his condition, specifically a coronary rod problem. After finding this out, we decided it was unnecessary for Aubrey to endure this painful test in the future. Clay began taking action in the ways he knew how. He tried to find out what could be done for Aubrey. In this process, he was informed of a local school that helped blind children. He told me that there was a waiting list and I needed to Aubrey on it right away. I never did. I didn't even consider it. Maybe you could say I was in a state of denial. I don't know. However, I knew the circumstances we were living in. I knew the day-to-day challenges we faced because I lived them. I just knew that this would not be my life. I knew this was not what God or I had for my family. I saw Havana trying to interact and play with her brother, only instead of the joy of watching your children play together, which is one of the greatest joys I believe a mother can have, and attempts to interact with her only sibling were met with nothing. No reaction. It hurt that she didn't even know that her interaction with her brother should be. It hurt that she didn't even know how her interaction with her brother should be. The doctor's diagnosis changed everything, but it empowered us in many ways. I knew now why my son always cried when I had to put him down. Now that I knew, I tried to always hold him. I was afraid that if I put him down, he would feel alone and abandoned. Immediately, I brought him into our bed so he would no longer have to sleep alone at night. Clay brought me CDs filled with orchestral movie scores that we would play constantly, whether in the car or at the house, to comfort and stimulate Aubrey. We gave Aubrey lots of baths. He loved them. We theorized this was because he felt safe as the water enveloped him. Along this theory, someone I met mentioned to me that she had known a baby who had a vision problem, and he had loved having a three-sided box placed over him, as the inside was covered with all sorts of different textures and things for him to feel as a way to explore. I guess it would be a version of a baby gym for the visually impaired. I intended to make one for Aubrey. My days were filled, as they always had been since the birth of our first child, caring for my children. I was kept busy and would appear for the most part to be holding up well. I was constantly busy. I would wait for those moments when all was quiet, when Aubrey was napping and Havana played quietly in her room. I would go to my bedroom, shut the door, and just cry and cry and cry. I would tell God everything. I never doubted that he heard me. I never doubted that he could help me, but I wanted him to do it. So I cried and I begged and I pressed in. I didn't have to think back to all the healings I had witnessed while at ORU. The foundation had already been laid. They were in me. The belief was there. I knew it could happen. Now I just wanted it to happen. I didn't know what else to do, so I sought God relentlessly. And that is the end of chapter 7. Chapter 8 is called Search for Truth, and we'll resume on April 3rd. Guys, have a great week. We love you. Take care, and bye-bye.